Hi, my name is Melissa Day, and I'm going to talk about teachers' views on LAP-3 assessment. I did an action research project, and I would love to share it with you. So here's an overview of LAP-3 assessment. LAP-3 stands for Learning Accomplishment Profile, the third edition. This assessment assesses children 36 to 72 months of age, and they are assessed in 7 different domains: language, cognitive, pre-writing, gross motor, self-help, and personal social. So here's a little overview of LAP-3 assessment. LAP-3 starts testing children based on their age in months. So for example, a 4-year-old would be testing at 48 months of age. Depending on how children respond to the questions, they will either increase or decrease in complexity. The average time it takes to administer the assessment is about 1 to 1.5 hours per child for an expert test administrator. However, it can take longer if the child is significantly above or below their age level. And this information comes from the manual that comes with the testing kit. And LAP-3 is also administered 3 times a year, beginning, middle, and end. So this is the methods that I used for my research. I administered an assessment anonymously to SAISD, pre-kinder, and Head Start teachers that administered the LAP-3 assessment. The survey consisted of 9 questions regarding LAP-3 assessment and 3 demographic identifying questions. Questions included perceptions of LAP-3 accessibility to test materials are in ease, whether or not teachers have confidence in the data obtained, and whether or not teachers feel the need for more training on the assessment. So here are the demographics. We have, out of 181 teachers that were sent the survey, 55 teachers responded. 96% of them were pre-K teachers and 4% were Head Start teachers. And this is their years of experience. The dark purple shows you the years of experience in teaching, and the light purple or lavender shows you how many years of teaching experience in an early childhood setting. So if you look here, you can see that the majority had 10 to 19 years of experience in teaching, and then you have the majority also having 10 to 19 years experience teaching in the pre-K setting. So here are the findings from my research about the test kit and the material data. So the question was, is your test kit complete? 42% said no, and 58% said, 42% said yes, and 58% said no. So over half the kits are incomplete. The LAP kit was incomplete when I received it, and that's a quote from the survey. And teachers share kits with 3 other teachers and rotate materials, which delays testing further. Teachers mentioned purchasing assessment materials to be able to meet district requirements. Okay. LAP-3 testing materials are accessible to me. So they were able to choose on a Likert scale: strongly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. 8 participants mentioned taking turns to share materials. 8 comments revealed the kit was incomplete or materials were unavailable and or limited. 8 stated not having enough materials to test. And here's a quote: "I have all the materials, but it is excessive. Gathering the materials for each component tested is time consuming." Here are more findings. This is on the administration of data. According to the LAP-3 website, the average time it takes to administer LAP-3 is 1 to 1.5 hours per student. Is this average accurate? So 2 of the participants said that it takes less than an hour. 11 said, yeah, that's about right, 1 to 1.5 hours. And 42 says that it takes more than an hour and a half to administer LAP-3 assessment to one child. So here are some comments on the time taken for LAP-3. One survey said that it takes about that much time to test each student. When you have 20 plus students and only about 2 hours to test a day and less than 15 work days to test, it's not enough. At the end of the year, pre-K teachers are pulled to help administer the STAR test. Last year, I was pulled out 3 days to help with STAR during my LAP-3 testing. I also have to administer the Woodcock-Munoz language test. I understand we all must do our part to meet all deadlines and requirements, but when selecting tests for pre-K, our district should remember the children's ability to take these tests. Their attention span is very short. And it has been a common occurrence that at the beginning of the school year, there are online connection issues or not all the students are on our LAP-3 roster. Then this means that the educators need to administer the paper pencil LAP-3. This takes twice as long while having to meet the assessment window. So this is the paper pencil where you have all the different areas that you assess, and then you find them by month and you go up or down depending on how they answer. Next question was LAP-3 is easy to administer. You can see that 23 said disagree. Comments mentioned lack of materials, students' attendance, distractions, and students' concentration as being factors in the ease of administering the assessment. The main factors that caused difficulty were website problems and the test being time-consuming. Here's the findings on fidelity, confidence, and support. When a skill can't be observed, what do you do? So there are some skills that are not observable. 56% said that they talked to parents, 24 said they made an educated guess, and 20% said other. So teachers commented that they improvised, they sent home questionnaires to parents, or they do a little bit of both. I have confidence in data obtained from LAP-3. So this was very interesting because the majority were neutral about the data for the LAP-3 assessment, which is concerning because data is what drives our instruction and helps with us with intervention. And so if we're neutral about the data that we're receiving from this assessment, then how are we using it to drive our data or drive our instruction and interventions? In administering LAP-3 for my Spanish-speaking students, I'm doing a direct translation of the test. I'm testing skills that are not necessarily for bilingual students. It doesn't give an accurate picture of their abilities. In addition, I'm testing in English, my English students when majority of my instruction is in Spanish. The data is confusing and I don't use it in my classroom. I appreciate the test is based on the child's chronological age. 5 of the comments provided mentioned the lack of correlation between the LAP-3 data and the pre-K report card that is also required by the district. More training would be helpful. The majority disagreed that more training would be helpful on LAP-3. Of the comments, 2 mentioned training on reading the data, 2 on how to explain the data to parents, 1 on how to administer the assessment using less time, and 4 mentioned training for struggling teachers or new teachers on an as-need basis. And 6 said no training is necessary. Is LAP-3 the only formal assessment you use? 65% said yes, 35% said no. Of those that said no, these are the other things that they mentioned: report card assessments, pre-K assessment, teacher-made checklists, Woodcock-Munoz, and portfolios. Is there a different assessment that you feel that you have administered that you feel is more beneficial to you and your students? 35% said no, 65% says yes, there's something better out there. So the more beneficial assessment response breakdown. So here's a breakdown of the responses given. 1 said core is better. 3 said Frog Street. 3 said just the pre-kinder assessment. 6 said a teacher-created one. And 23 said the circle assessment, which is the CLI Engage. Here's a summary. 58% of LAP-3 kits are incomplete. 76% of teachers stated that it takes over an hour and a half to test one student. So 90 minutes times 22 students is over 33 hours each cycle. 35% use another formal assessment. When skills can't be observed, 56% talk to parents, 24% make educated guesses, and 20% answered other. 49% answered neutral on their confidence in data. 62% do not believe that training would help. 65% have used a more beneficial assessment, and teachers favor the circle assessment. These were my recommendations. SAISD School Board and Early Childhood Development and any other stakeholders need to reevaluate the assessment to better service the children of SAISD and their teachers. Whether this means returning to the circle assessment or picking a different assessment altogether, something needs to change. Thank you.